Hey guys, Rick Shaw here again. It's still the 12th. Okay, buddy. And my little sweetie and I, we had to take a run up to Robinson's, get some hardware and some stuff like that. And when we were there, there was a restaurant in there called T-Bone King. So this is my little review on it. I thought, okay, so I went in there. Porterhouse and T-Bone, it's basically the same steak. So, and they had the U.S. Angus. It's like about $20, and then they had another one for 10. I thought, and then they even had Filipino one for cheaper, I think, locally grown. But I went ahead. I thought, oh, I'll try the Australian beef. I guess they import it. So got the dang thing, and it gave some nice veggies. They didn't overcook it or anything like that. The smashed potatoes and gravy, that was pretty good. The steak, though, really didn't have a lot of flavor. I got it medium. Really didn't have a lot of flavor to it, and I'm not kidding you. It just kept chewing and chewing and chewing. Even on the little soft, tender portion was super chewy. They didn't do anything at all to it to tenderize it, I don't believe. I've done stuff on steaks to tenderize them. Even just salt will help tenderize them. But I don't know. Me, I would pay. I'll pay for a good steak. I don't have a problem with that. But that place, I don't think we'll go back to that one again. But we get steaks here. I get T-bones here at the S&M. And the problem with those ones, they take the tender piece out, they cut it away, so you only get the other side. But they're not too bad. They're not real tough or anything like that. We did get some from S&R. They had some Angus, they call it Angus again. And I got a couple steaks I thought looked pretty good there. And I don't know what's happening with. Maybe it's me. They just didn't seem to have the flavor. I do them a lot of times on the cast iron skillet. That's one of the ways I like to cook. I have the broiler in there. I did broil one of the ones from S&R, and it just didn't have a lot of flavor. It wasn't super tough. It wasn't the tenderest steak I ever had. We used to grow Herefords, and those were just tender as could be. You got to leave them hang a amount of time. I believe in the States somewhere, any farmers there can let me know. I believe you have to at least hang them for 4 days. We used to let ours hang quite a lot longer than that. Same way when I used to hunt deer and stuff. If the weather was decent, I'd let them hang a couple weeks. I had a lot of people say, oh, when you're eating venison, it's not good. They don't like it. It's because the guys will take that venison and they'll chop it up that day and they'll put it in freezer packs and freeze it. Excuse me. And it's not good that way. You have to let it hang and age a little bit. But if we had the weather where it was cool enough, there's no kidding, I would leave them hang. And I always like to hang my deers from the neck also, instead of the stuff coming from the legs pouring down through the meat. And I've done that year after year. And the steaks we would get out of the deer, and there's not too many steaks I would get. Mostly I'd just turn the whole thing into hamburger. And one of the things when we did deer, a little trick to them, if you don't want to add other meat to it, some people add pork or they'll add fat and all that. There's a trick to cooking them. Get your cast iron skillet and put water in the bottom. Put all your hamburgers inside of there and put water almost to the top of the burger. Put a lid on it and just let it boil in there, and that firms up the meat. And then when the water's gone, you can put a little bit of ghee in there or butter or something, oil if you want, and then it'll cook really good, and you'll have some hamburgers that don't fall all apart. So. Hey, fellas. Guys are still working. But it is a nice day. There was a lot of restaurants in there over at the Robinsons. We're probably going to check out different ones. Grandma's here, so my sweetie and I can go on the bike. We got caught in a good downpour. Didn't last long. It was right before we got into the mall. And if we could have went into the normal gate we go into, we wouldn't have even got wet. But for some reason, they blocked off the whole gate, and we had to go all the way around. And by the time I dropped my sweetie off at the drop-off spot, but by the time I got to the parking lot, I was just drenched. And when we got into the store, it quit. You know, if I'd have stopped where my sweetie got off and we just sat there for 15 minutes, it'd have been over, and we wouldn't have got rained on. So, but I'll have to get in there and oil my chain. We drove through some pretty good puddles coming home. I am noticing here when there's a lot of rain, there's places in Lipa here that doesn't drain well, so you get some standing water, and something guys really watch out for. Whenever, you know, we saw a guy. This wasn't here, but there was always standing water on the right side of the road, and he was coming up through that water. It was so good, 4 or 5 inches deep, something like that. And I told my sweetie, I said, watch this guy. I saw him coming up in the mirror. I said, watch this guy. He's going to fall down. He's going to fall down. And she looked over, and sure enough, as soon as he got a little bit past us, he hit his front brakes, which immediately locked up because it's algae. It's algae where there's the standing water. And down the poor fellow went, and it was a high curb to the right of him, higher than this curb. And he got smacked pretty good. His bike got smacked pretty good. But you have to watch it here when there's standing water. Plus, you don't know if there's construction, where there's construction mud or anything. You go down the bottom here, the bottom street. Even when the kids are riding the bikes, it's extremely slippery when it's wet. There's an algae on the top of the road now, and even our place, we had to bleach the concrete in the back there. We have the washing machine drains down into the drain. Well, every month or so, I do the tub maintenance where you dump a half a gallon of bleach into it, and it cleans all the gook from inside and everything. And I do that regularly. So what I did this time, when we had so much of the green stuff growing on the concrete in the back, I went ahead and pulled the drain from the washer out so that it went on the concrete. And then when it started dumping all that bleach water through there, we were able to kill most of the algae that grows on there. Now, it's not too slippery because our back has got lines in it like this, which makes it pretty, it makes it not slick. This thing here, I wish they'd have done the same thing to this. This little area right here, there's enough of an angle where you will go down here, and they smoothed it. Everything else is rough. Look, everything else is rough there, but this is extremely smooth. They should have took a broom or a brush or something and went across this so that, and you can see the green growing in just where the little bits of water is, and it gets very slick here. So hopefully we'll get this thing covered up pretty soon. I still have to go in and get, we couldn't find our anchors today for our awning. I wasn't going to ride around all day, to all these different hardware stores, but the few ones we stopped at were out. And just how it is. Even that place that I saw that had them, I went there, and the little bin where they were was all gone. So there was like a run on 1/2-inch anchors. So if I have to, I'll just get a 3/4, make the hole a little bit bigger, buy another bit. But my awning's hanging by a thread up there. You can see that because my boy, he extended it out because he thought it was cool spinning that rod. And then he didn't close it in. So when that typhoon come through here, it just basically ripped it right out, busted the brackets all up. So don't know what we're going to do with that. It's hanging there now. It's in there pretty good. So that's the way she's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go. But it's a thumbs down for me on the T-Bone King at Robinson's in Lipa City. If anybody else has tried those, any other ones, if they're any good, or maybe the steaks, maybe the Angus steaks from the U.S. are better. I shy away from a lot of the meat and stuff like that from the U.S. because all the GMO stuff that they feed the animals now with the corn and everything, it's all GMO, and I ain't into that at all. One of the reasons I moved here, it's in everything, and high fructose corn syrup. You know, it's making the diet bad. You can just tell by the health of the people. It's not good. So, but I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Beautiful day. We had some rain on and off today, but she's nice now. It's kind of neutral, the temperature. There's no sun blast noise with these clouds, so it's kind of nice. And this is Rickshaw out.